recap and recall in our brains what happened many eons ago. Shit.
There's Bob Barker who was so mad he kind of just ran into the fire.
There's things that happened a lot.
What's his nugget came and met us at the fork in the road.
Yes. Essentially,
Estoyo
had finally caught up with you guys.
His daughter.
You met,
and his daughter is blind in human form.
His daughter Anastasia, who is.
You got a dagger.
Yeah, we found out.
We figured out what that dagger was. We decided you were the one.
Yeah, we forgot we were carrying that dagger, and we figured out what it was. It's
I didn't forget I had it. We didn't have any way to really identify it.
Stoyo showed up. You met his daughter. He kind of explained a little bit what was going on there. He caught up with you guys, what you've done, where he's been, and in conversing about what you've done, you made mention of perhaps gaining...
We did a very hard flex.
Yes,
perhaps gaining an extremely powerful ally in the form of a black dragon. Whose name is what, Jenna?
I don't know. I didn't...
Onyx.
I just been calling him T.
No one ever remembers.
I have it wrote down!
I just call him T. Mr. T.
You're the only one who remembers.
Dagger of constricting magic.
I just remember it because it's Belzar and...
I want to keep calling him Delvasdoon.
Therisdoon,
Yeah.
Yes, so Belzar, you made contact with after kind of talking amongst yourselves whether this would be a good idea or not. You made contact, ended up deciding to make contact with him, in which he seemed to accept and at least hear you out, and immediately began heading in your direction. Drex and Percy decided that before you made this trek up to the mountainside that you would take the horses back to Foxtrough and secure them for a week, and while you were there you would find someone to identify this magical dagger that you've been carrying. And so while you guys were out and doing that in town, Felzar did arrive, in which you had a meeting with him, and he explained to you that at the very least taking you up to the top of the mountain would not be a problem. It would be a debt repaid, essentially, to do that. However, he did offer his services extended if at the end of everything, once your business is done here, you return back to the swamp or the marsh with him and immediately do his quest. Wanting to kind of talk this over a little bit further with the rest of your party that is not currently here.
Didn't he offer to remove the marks?
Yes, that was also one thing, is if you help him, because he also told you after kind of sensing the uncertainty, and maybe not necessarily those of you who were there, but and perhaps those that were not, mentioned that black has not always been his original color. He was at one point a gold dragon before something happened, which sort of offered a little bit of an explanation as to why he had not eaten you yet.
Does make sense.
But yes, he did say that should he be returned back to his golden form, that perhaps Liftis would not be anything outside of his realm of possibilities. But still, you decided you wanted to talk it over with everyone, wait for them to return the next day, chat with them, and Felzahar would return the following evening to hear your decision.
Also, my phone. But also my phone book is done.
Yes. So with that, that is where we go ahead and begin. It is currently evening. You guys are staying the evening in Foxtrough at the inn. Felzar has gone invisible and has flown off for the night with a promise to return in this same spot the next evening.
You have so much time here.
What would you guys like to do for the night?
I think this is the longest we've ever really stayed in one spot.
I know, and I don't really like it.
just so you know, that dagger of constricting magic, because it is +1 to damage, to hit and damage. So I just, obviously that's not in the inventory, but there is just a +1 dagger, so I added it as a +1 dagger, and then the other effects we can do manually.
Okay. Yep, just as long as you have it tapped down what it does.
Well, I have it in
Okay.
from your message.
I don't know. I think.
Where did it go?
I don't know. I think quiet contemplation.
Kind of like bouncing with excitement.
Alright.
Stoyle's got a pretty big grin across his face, seeing that things seem to be tipped towards the dragon ally side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Things are gonna die.
No, not saying that.
Why did it not?
Fighting side by side with a dragon is, not cool or anything, but that's
cool.
pretty fucking cool, right?
Yeah. And it didn't need us.
Yes.
To
Apparently, it sort of answers that question of why a black dragon could even be trusted in the first place. Well, if it is not black, if it is gold, as he says, that's... I don't know a lot about them, but I know that the metal ones are not so bad.
Well, and he mentioned before that what he needed our help with. I grew up down in Drogon's Rest, which is in the marsh of Drogon proper, and
Whatever you do, don't wear any form of armor. That's going to take 2 hours to get swamp water out of.
Pretty sure I saw some.
well, and there's rumors of a treasure down there, but it's protected by a great beast, and Felzar mentioned at one point that he needs our help with the beast, since he's not the beast himself. So I'm confused and curious as to what could be going on down there. But the big thing for me isn't even anything related to that. He's got a way for me to talk to my grandpa again. So.
That sounds like a quest line for you.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably not be a part of.
No, but we can tell you about it later.
But on that note, perhaps this dragon is the beast. Perhaps. An even more terrifying thought, perhaps something took its place.
My thoughts exactly.
But again, that is things for you to worry about later.
Don't worry, we'll come back with even more powerful allies.
I can only imagine.
We have a way of just kind of stumbling across them, don't we?
Aren't you glad we decided to be allies and not enemies?
I do not regret letting you live. But really though, it is probably because your friend here also speaks the way of nature.
Speaking of, there's a lot of shit going on with him too that we're trying to figure out.
Speaking of which, there's just a lot of shit in general.
Yes, all of you seem to have some sort of bolt loose, but hey!
It wasn't my fault that I turned into the bubble boy.
That's I don't.
That's a story.
I don't think that's genuinely what she was referencing, but alright.
Oh no, go on.
Drex is just an idiot.
I will
He's gotta go on that
elaborate on the Bubble Boy story. Both versions.
Okay. That happened.
Twice.
What sort of mischief have you guys truly gotten your feet into?
Definitely not divine.
But also divine?
We haven't quite fathomed it out
It's
yet.
weird.
That's only if it's Leviathan talking.
Fair.
Have you... I understand your allegiances lie to Leviathan and the ways of the ocean. But have you perhaps tried talking or connecting to, the mother of nature, Solterra?
No, not really.
Well, perhaps you should pay visit to one of her shrines sometime. it is not uncommon for druids like ourselves to pick between land or sea. It is all nature, one way or another. Leviathan is on equal terms with Solterra, but Solterra is more land-based. She is who I worship. Or worship. Not
Loose
really,
terms.
Not really super religious, but I believe we can do what we can do for reasons, and I believe Solterra holds some reasons. But just because I am a man of faith does not mean I am a man of good faith.
That is by far the least fanatic way of putting things that I have heard in a very long time, and I can respect that.
It's kind of how I feel about the Lord Keeper.
It's very hard to talk to somebody about religion without them getting a little bit.
Too far?
I don't want to say cultish, but cultish.
Just, the sea is where I'm from. I mean, the fact that I can get webby fingers and gills just...
I came from an accident.
I was found on a beach.
Well,
I have character removed. So basically, you're the shell boy from that old fairy tale.
yes. It's the shell boy that has been found by the fisherman and his wife.
The bubble boy. Well, things seem to be going in favor for us, so perhaps we talk about, not everyone is here yet, but those who are, maybe we start discussing how we want to go about infiltrating. Kicking down the front door now seems like a very good option.
That is a very good idea, but part of me wishes to enter still with caution. We may have things stepped on our side, but we don't know what they have on their side either.
It may be a bit hard to do with a dragon.
We don't know entirely what they have, but I have a pretty good idea. Like I said, I've been scouting these last couple of weeks. The biggest threat in there is by far Beatrice herself. Any sort of lowly peons or guards or anything that she keeps with her, maybe some of them are worthwhile, but most of them are just minions, pawns. It is not hard for someone who is a vampire like Beatrice is to dominate lowly creatures like goblins or kobolds. No more than how dragons do it.
No more than how humans do it.
Would a dragon be susceptible to becoming a vampire? In the off chance that he got bitten.
I don't want to think about that.
That's terrifying.
But hypothetically, if that's true, that also means they could potentially be for, like, wearism as well. Like a werewolf dragon weirdness.
That's fucked up.
Hypothetically, that's true. That's terrifying. I don't like that.
I'm glad Drex isn't
Can you
here.
imagine being a were-dragon?
No, I don't want to.
Like
On
you're
that
there,
note,
human, and
though,
you fucking poof into a dragon.
I feel like you lose way more intimidation going from big dragon to small wolf on two legs.
Yeah, probably.
You could gain surprise factor though if you go from werewolf on two legs to big dragon.
I don't... If you were a pedestrian walking the streets of the night,
Oh well, big words there.
and
Don't hurt your
a
brain.
wolf on two legs jumps out and screams at you. Pretty scary, right? You would not survive. Your pants would not survive if now this wolf all of a sudden poofs into big dragon. And you're just like, why didn't you just start with this?
Still, just saying, hypothetically.
Vampire dragon would probably be scarier.
So the only way that person's
No.
pants would survive even remotely is if they made sure they were wearing brown pants.
Oh no, they would.
They're still getting thrown out.
They would be
Yeah.
afterwards.
Maybe a little bit of red.
Just a little bit.
Undead teleporting vampiric dragon.
No.
Nope.
Okay, so now that we have like established what my nightmares are going to be for the next couple
Undead vampiric dragon that is also a spider.
That's terrifying.
That's-
Glad I'm not here for that.
A dragnophobia.
Okay, so frontal assaults.
I don't know.
Well, if we are going in on the
Where-
back of a dragon, and if whatever you guys work out, if it does choose to help us, I don't see a point in being stealthy. Flex your guns. That might help, you know. Things they might look and be like, "That's a dragon. We're going to leave."
No.
I kind of agree. I mean,
No thanks. I choose life.
I mean, it's true, but
one of the tricks at sea is to try to make your boat like look bigger and more intimidating than it is
however, one of the things
to discourage
where
pirates.
I'm from is you never show your full hand.
You know, she was trained by the matron, then she's not gonna show us.
And as I've mentioned this before, but the tunnel system inside runs vast. It could connect to places that we don't even know about. There could be more things in there that
Not even they know.
could be dangerous.
And also potentially if I get a hit with divinite and it connects. I mean, I'm a trained sword and shield, but I won't have access to my magic. You know, to heal you guys or revive you.
Is the cavern system where we're going to find her going to be big enough for the dragon to be
We
in?
thought about trying to lure most of them out.
It depends. The front entrance did not seem big enough.
Don't some dragons though have the ability to shape change?
But that's only if we find a cavern big enough for him to
They
shape change back
most
into.
do, yes, but Thalzar mentioned that when he transformed into a black dragon, he is unable to.
Use most of his abilities.
Yes.
I would say we could open. Well,
How do we get them outside then?
here's the thing. It's an old tradition where I'm from. And nobody does it anymore for obvious reasons that will be obvious when I'm done explaining it. Oh, my fucking kneecap.
Ow.
There's a table there.
Yeah. Okay. Back
It's
into
been a couple of weeks.
back into character.
Gotta find the table.
Okay. Still smart.
I hope so.
There is a rite of open challenge, which means you can openly challenge somebody to essentially duel it out. Winner is the winner of the argument, and if you deny the right of an open challenge, you're kind of perceived as a coward and stuff like that. But as you can see, most people don't use it anymore because, well,
Do we even know if she subscribes to this?
I mean, no, but it's always an option. We can always just challenge her outright. If she's by the matron, I guarantee you she will not. If she's raised by the matron, she won't take idly to being openly challenged.
There you go.
Thank you.
Got it.
Here.
Have a good one.
But that's just Because where I come from, subterfuge and names mean power. And they don't like being, again, openly challenged from family and or anyone else. Because that's not how things work in Arcanium. They prefer more behind the back instead of open challenges. But you can still openly challenge somebody. I guarantee you they'll still accept it for the sake of their pride.
Okay.
It's always an option. The matron doesn't like me either. I could just easily walk
Okay,
in
but
there.
if we do this challenge, and then we basically jump them,
I mean, technically, the moment they agree to the challenge, anything really goes.
so there's no.
Well, how do we get this message, this challenge to Beatrice?
It's just an idea. And it's only if she subscribes to that belief. But then again, if she's any remotely, if she has any pride at all, being openly challenged by a bunch of people with a thorn in the matron's side would be too much to resist. And if she succeeded,
I mean, if we just stand outside and say,
the sheer fact that I am still alive is that very message. That I'm alive and actively thwarting her plans is very much the same
I
message.
will say, we don't know if there are other ways out. If we stand at the front door and wait for them to come out, they might just leave another way.
That's just the idea.
If we're going through the front,
well, the dragon could, keep an eye out, flying overhead.
Keep the dragon at bay until we're ready to
And-
show our entire hand.
Yeah, the dragon could fly around and keep an eye out for other passages that are local. I mean, if they
We're not
dive,
there, right?
No.
if they go deep, there's not much we can do about it, one way or the other.
I just
Then
don't
it
want.
becomes a chase, but
This is just from my background in Arcanium. I just don't want to show our entire hand too early.
well, Theocharis showed that he has the ability to at least turn invisible. Or if instead of we go with the original, he gets us close, drops us off, and he looks for a back door. And we go in through the front, and he waits by the back. That way they don't know that we possess a powerful backup plan. Yes.
okay.
And if they flee from us, then they run into a even bigger trap.
That could be fair. I like that
And
idea.
then once they engage us in the front, he joins us.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
He could knock down the front door, and we could find the back entrance.
Would be one hell of a distraction. Black dragon at your front doorstep. But if we do look around for a back entrance, we run the risk of being seen.
Both strategies have their pros and cons.
Can I remind everybody of something even though I'm not there? Because it was something that happened 3 weeks ago when we were talking before we left. That Percy did mention that he had potions of invisibility and was willing to go in and look around and then come out.
It's true.
When we left, that was what we had kind of decided the plan would be. That Percy would go in and do some scouting and come back
He
out.
wouldn't do any killing yet,
Right.
but he poked around and
You know,
With probably need to wait for the other two before we finalize our plans.
Yeah, but they won't be coming back probably until,
Right.
yeah.
If not, lunchtime.
We could always circle back about
I'm
the
just
undead
picturing-
vampiric
or not
spider
picturing.
dragons.
An invisible Percy on an invisible dragon. It would be like Wonder Woman on the invisible jet, only if Wonder Woman herself was invisible.
How do you know that's not a thing already?
Well, could be.
It's good to at least get the gear started. I think, one way or another, we have a busy day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it'd be a good idea to rest up.
Time for some sleep.
Don't have to worry about taking watches tonight. The pack will watch.
I kind of looked at Anastasia. You want to stay in my tent with me?
She kind of points towards
Okay.
Estoya.
I'll give her an extra scritch. Don't trigger.
Okay. So, you see Estoya do verbal components that you are, verbal and semantic components that you're familiar with now of conjured animals, but he casts it through the medallion that he wears around his neck, and it seems to have amplified effects, which let him create a larger pack rather than the normal amount. And yeah, once the 6 wolves kind of come out, they start kind of wandering out, taking a perimeter around the campsite. And Stoyo goes ahead and gets his own tent. It's not really a tent, it's basically just a bedroll. He chooses to sleep underneath the trees.
That should probably be up for a little bit longer. Sitting at the campfire, contemplating a few things. You know, just trying to, now that, he has a hard time turning those gears off because they're always kind of running. So he's really just trying to not chase the white rabbit, but, just think enough to try and just try and go to bed.
Sure.
I would say it'd probably take him no more than about 45 minutes to an hour to just finish winding down and calling
Zone
it in.
out?
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually you guys do kind of find sleep. Kai, you feel as you kind of are laying in your tent, just kind of, legs crossed over one another, just kind of looking up, thinking. You can't help but kick the reminiscing thought of the nose out of your head. And it's like a potion bottle that you can see the effects swirling inside, but as long as the lid stays closed, nothing happens. At the same time, as you're you feel kind of your blood pressure rising a little bit, your foot kind of starts tapping a little bit faster.
A little frustrated.
You remember Miho and his words of advice. Go ahead, roll a d20 for me.
Jesus. Am I adding anything?
Five?
Yeah.
Okay. sure every time I've had you do this, you haven't rolled higher.
I haven't rolled very high on all of this.
Eventually, you just kind of shake the thoughts from your head and drift off into slumber. Eventually, morning comes. You will find yourselves slowly stirring awake. Taking your place outside, doing your own morning routines. Stoya is up with Anastasia. They're just kind of cooking some things, a small fire going. You guys wait for the return of Drex and Percy. Did you guys do anything special while you were in town for the evening? Okay.
Well, we bought all the gear we needed because we were going to get cold weather gear and climbing gear.
Yep, just in case.
There's one other thing Percy would like to try to do. Drax is probably drinking at the bar.
Yeah, maybe.
Percy would like to see, I assume there's a temple in town. Didn't we kind of go by the temple at one point? He wants to go to the temple and see if there's somebody there that can talk to him, that can tell him anything about vampires. Because we've tried and tried and tried to find out about vampires, and none of us seems to know anything about vampires.
That's fair.
Go ahead and roll. And roll persuasion.
Nice. That is a 17 on the dice for a 21.
When you get to the temple and you kind of start asking around, the first kind of couple people that you ask don't really know. Their knowledge doesn't really deter too far from the gods.
So he's probably like, well, is there somebody else around that might be able to help me?
And they do kind of point you to sort of the like sage of the temple, one of the older members who has been kind of doing it for a while. And as you kind of ask, it's an elderly woman, elderly even for an elf. You can kind of see the beginnings of like the kind of the sags around the eyes,
Which is very odd for an elf.
Yeah. The kind of dullness in her hair, kind of just beginning to start losing its like shine. It's still very sleek, you know, long, but the platinum blonde is starting to turn a bit less platinum and more gray, kind of near the tips of the roots.
I don't know why, but I picture her as Blythe Donner. You guys probably don't know who that is.
Isn't she?
She's Laura Dern's mother.
What was her name?
Blythe, Blythe.
Oh, okay, I see who you mean. She was a dancer and she was on... Yeah, she was on Broadway. That's how I knew her.
Kind of like...
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, she's Gwyneth Paltrow's mom.
Yeah, or Gwyneth Paltrow, yeah, what did I say? Laura Dern. Wrong one. My bad.
Blythe Manor.
Yep.
Did you mean Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's mom. I said Laura Dern's mom.
Oh, yeah.
I mixed them up.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, a little bit.
I just mean because that hair,
Yeah.
in her, obviously now it's all gray.
Yeah. Yeah, but very, very, very similar.
Okay.
Instead of like the poofed out, it's just like long and
Straight.
But,
Yep.
yeah. And as you ask, she kind of kneels a little bit to be on closer, like.
And he's being very
eye level.
reverential and very respectful, almost like he's talking to his own mother or grandma.
And what, pray tell, might you seek this knowledge for, little one?
And he starts to point to where he ripped the logo off his jacket. He's like, just a minute, ma'am. And he fetches through his bags and he pulls out the
One from Knox.
Hall of Heroes badge that Knox gave him and said, I'm a member of the Hall, believe it or not. And some friends and I, well, we had a run-in with a really mean vampire once upon a time and barely survived by the skin of our teeth. And, well, I was just wondering if there's anything we can do to protect ourselves from vampires, or to... I don't know anything about them. I'm from a small farming town, so I don't know much about this kind of thing.
In my many years of life, these creatures, these vampires, have long since adapted from the menaces that they once were. Since then, there has been sort of a split between them. There are daywalkers and there are nightwalkers. Both have adapted to the ever-present sunlight, where many, many moons ago, sunlight used to harm them. Such things are no longer true. In fact, they have mutated and adapted so much that sunlight helps them more than it hurts them.
Interesting.
But
so they don't like...
Because of that,
Okay.
moonlight has become dangerous. But because the way our cycle works, and the moon, though we call it a moon, produces sunlight, pure moonlight is very rare, and thus, though it is a weakness to them, it is a weakness that has almost become an immunity.
Interesting. And so I suppose, knowing that, he'll be like, well, when we had to fight this guy, my normal weapons, and he kind of points at the crossbow on his hip, and he's like, my normal weapons didn't seem to really hurt it as much as they normally do. Do they have, like, extra hard skin? Does the sunlight make their skin hard or something?
Think of how you are now, and your current
So
experience.
she says that, and he, noticeably, looks from his feet all the way,
Your form, the way you fight, the way you think, the way you move. And now picture yourself 40 years from now. Do you think you would have the same vulnerabilities? Would the same things be able to hit you then as they would now?
Well, by that time, I'll be a doddering old man, and probably anything could hit me. But I get your point.
The older they are, the more resilient that they have surely become.
He'll be an old man and I'll still
So, basically, moonlight is their
be
weakness.
halfway through my life.
And sunlight is their... gives them strength.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we need to know. That's weird, because the one we fought was in a cave. I wonder why he was so strong in a cave.
Sunlight aids them, but it does not. They do not rely on it.
It's not like a water wheel that it has to have the water to heat up all the time. Okay. Gotcha. Well, thank you very much. I
Do
really...
be mindful that a vampire is not slain just because the corpse disappears.
Okay. He, gets a quizzical look on his face. Then how do you make sure they're gone?
Typically they have a place that they return to. Old stories would refer to stereotypes as coffins, but it can be any form of which they've bonded and binded themselves to.
And then, so they go back to this place?
Yes, and then after time passes, could be hours, days, months, weeks, they return to life.
Well, how do you stop that from happening?
You must destroy it.
How? Moonlight? Seems like every time I get an answer, I got more questions.
Such is life.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help. hopefully we don't come across any more of them. But I have a feeling that guy's going to show up again sometime, and at least I'll be a little more ready for him this time.
Hopefully this aids you in your journey.
I think it will. Thanks again. And he like shakes her hand, and he like fumbles around in his pouch, and like he used all the gold we had to pay for the horses in the end. And so he takes out his 3 little silver that he has left. And he's like, "It's all I got left. I'll bring you more when we come back."
This is appreciated. May the divines bless you.
Thank you again. You're very nice.
Have a wonderful evening.
I'm probably gonna have nightmares of Cal Ross. Walks away.
Don't worry. I think Theo's gonna have nightmares of vampire spider dragons.
Undead vampire spider dragons.
Either way. Lots of fun.
Yeah, so then morning eventually comes for you guys, and
Mhm.
you begin your walk back to the campsite, no longer having the horses, unless, you said you don't have any money, but unless you were to basically pay for a carriage ride out there and somebody take you.
That would be up to Drax.
How much money is it? How much gold is it?
For where you're going, about a half day's travel, maybe about 5 gold.
Easy.
Uber! Can we get an Uber?
Yeah, Drex
Is there
is
an app
like
for
that.
If not Uber, it's Lyft.
Drex does not feel like walking that.
Not hungover, huh?
Land walked over mountains, and you can't walk half a day on
Hell
a
no.
road?
Well, here's the thing. He's carrying
I'm carrying like
6
everything.
sets of cold weather gear and 3 sets of climbing gear.
This guy, he's not walking.
Percy's probably like hopping, skipping along. Come on, Drax, keep up! Not
Like, I got the hat!
Not thinking that Drax is carrying all that stuff.
That is a lot of carrying.
So while you wait,
I believe that would be the definition of encumbered.
of your party, is there anything for the day specifically you guys, anybody would like to do before you reunite?
I want to try meditating on anger and frustration again. Identifying it this time and like trying to find the root of it to use it. She'll just be kind of sitting probably at the entrance to her tent. Just
Probably do his prayers to get his spells. And probably just going through the motions of just readying his gear. You know, self-soothing type things. Comfort, routine. Keeps him busy.
I am switching up my spells a little bit because I do have a note here in the last session. The historian showed me how to cast Moonbeam.
he did, and he gave you some of the supplies.
Yes, a spell that produces moonlight.
Interesting.
Yeah, with a lot of my spells that I currently had, I'm like, well, this isn't going to do a damn thing. So, now I think I kind of have some spells, but yeah, going through the motions.
So Kai, as you sit and begin meditating, once again trying to find this breaking point, this level of understanding, and really kind of trying to tap into it, you go back a little bit deeper and you start kind of going back through your days at the monastery when, you know, your first year being there, where all they did was teach you the fundamentals of
And it frustrated her
being
to
a
no
monk.
end.
You know, learning to clear your mind, cleanse your emotions, really kind of look inward more than you're looking outward. Go ahead and roll another d20.
Really a different one this time.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Can I have the blue and white one?
You said blue and white one?
Yes. Well, that's the blue and gray. The next to it.
Oh. What we got here?
Oh my god!
9.
Your die, like the die.
That is the 5th time I have rolled through this.
That die literally said you no.
My dice are saying no.
Roll a d4 for me.
Can I try? This is so. It fits like squarely in the palm of my tiny ass hand. I love it. This is so
The
satisfying.
first thought that I had that crossed through my mind when I held one of those earlier was, it's a weapon. It's the perfect size for me to throw at somebody. Those are a little small.
Fucking.
1.
One. My dice say.
Just like Chinese meditation balls.
Trying to focus and really hone in on this the last, I'm trying to do it last night and again this morning, and just struggling to find, the path that you seek here. Really trying to figure out and break through the riddle has led you to a point of, frustration
Deeper
with it.
frustration?
And so you will not be able to meditate on this for one day.
Damn.
She didn't get a 4.
Oh god.
Actually, the one came
Good
through for you this time.
Roll though, yeah.
Knox is just gonna meditate and chill in his own right, vibe in his own corner. Can I have it? Thank you. I don't know how long typically clerics pray per day or spells would take, but I imagine at least it would take like an hour or so just for the routine.
I think that's how it's described, is that it takes like an hour.
Eventually, the day continues on. Another uneventful afternoon. You guys chat with one another, sit by the fire, just kind of do your own thing. And as the afternoon continues to go on, eventually you hear the approaching sound of horses carrying a large
Cart.
cart, where sitting in the back of it has like the hood over it, but it's see-through from front to back. You see Percy and Drex. Percy, you're probably sticking your head out the side, kind of pointing over, maybe waving at them, I don't know.
Probably all he can do to not climb up there and grab the reins.
Yeah.
Probably backseat driving the whole way.
Yeah.
Percy and Drex have returned. You say your farewells to the driver.
I'm gonna give him an extra 4 gold.
Absolutely, gladly take the tip.
Take that 4 gold. You.
Percy says, I don't have any money, but my tip is, never play leapfrog with a unicorn.
It's a good tip.
I'll hit you on the backside when we come back.
I'll hit you in the rear end.
Yep. Yeah, he's trying to be cool.
I think he got the point.
I mean, if it fits, he can sit.
Oh!
Sit and spin.
Wow.
It's like a drill.
This took it on.
Oh, God.
Drill, baby, drill.
As you guys kind of approach back, Stoyo stands up and kind of gives you both the wave of the hand. Welcome back!
Yeah, Percy's like, Drax, you got all that stuff?
Yeah.
I suppose Percy comes out and he's carrying like one set of pythons and rope. Drax is carrying everything else.
I got it, Percy. Don't worry.
I'll just come over and get my stuff.
Knox is gonna get up and help the fuck.
And I'll grab Theo's too so I can take it over to Theo.
Just help
Here.
carry that shit. As Knox finally takes his blanket back.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh yeah, and you all see Percy now has a different hat. He's got like this bomber hat thing on that I showed you all last week.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Like the flaps.
Yep.
That,
Trapper hat.
That when,
Jenna
they're,
actually
that
has
when
those.
they're down, you wind up yelling because you can't actually hear
Hear
a lot
anything?
through them.
Yes. But they're warm as shit.
Oh god, yeah.
Does that mean that when he's running, he looks like a beagle?
Yes.
Flop, 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 flop.
I love it.
He's got about the energy of a beagle, too.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. We're gonna let them sit, like, we're gonna divvy up the gear and kind of let them get reacquainted, settle down before, we just start going,
By the way,
here's this,
Here's the thing we did while you were gone, and here's how that went.
Yeah, no, we're gonna give them at least a couple minutes to get it.
10 minutes go by as you divvy up the gear and just kind of... All of you kind of take a somewhat of a seat around the makeshift fire pit. Right now there's no flame going. It's just kind of a gathering point. So, who would like to fill them in? Not me.
You're way too excited about it.
Oh, I'm already full. I ate some rations on the way.
So our dragon friend was here.
He gets a really, cross look.
So here's the thing.
Because you know
Which
how
you
Percy
knew,
feels
you
about it.
knew, you knew about it.
Well, I knew he was coming back, but...
He's gonna come back this evening and talk to us again.
He's not who we thought he was.
He was originally a gold dragon.
That's what they all say.
I don't know, I've never talked to a black dragon before.
Well, I just mean,
Or any dragon
I mean,
that I'm aware of.
all
This is
all evil beings don't portray themselves to be who they say they are.
I don't know about that.
neither do good people.
Well, that's true too. But you get my point.
I-
I mean, what's he supposed to say? Yeah, I'm an evil black dragon, and when this gets done, I'm gonna eat y'all.
So they have given you no context. Okay,
There's
Percy.
supposed to be context?
I mean, context usually helps.
Context clues.
What is context?
No comment from the peanut gallery, please.
It has the word con in it.
Okay, so he has agreed to take us up the mountain to deliver us. He has agreed to that at least.
Assuming he doesn't eat us first, but okay.
He still needs our help.
He has also offered to fight with us
But that requires a renegotiation.
in return of new negotiations. His contingency is, if he helps us with this, we head back to the marsh and aid him in his problem.
Immediately.
His problem being, he used to be somewhere,
A guardian of a treasure down in the marsh. But something happened and now he's not there.
and he's not there anymore. And he wishes to try and return back to his golden form.
And return to his duty.
In return for us helping him with this, if he gets his power back, he said it would not be out of a realm of possibility that he could remove the marks.
Percy thinks over a little bit. He's like, sounds to me like a ploy just to get us to the swamp so he can eat us at home instead of having to fly us all the way there.
Look, if we go to the swamp, at least we'll have friends, because we'll have all the Kai's family.
Did you get it in writing?
We haven't agreed to anything yet.
Okay.
That's why he's coming back tonight.
Also, I'm not sure. Do you have a quill big enough for a dragon claw?
Considering
This is
his
true.
dragon claw is bigger than Theo.
Percy, when have any of our agreements that we've made up to this point ever been written in writing?
This is true.
I'm sure we could get it in writing.
I just don't trust it. Seems a bit too convenient that all of a sudden he's not a black dragon. Sure, he doesn't want to eat us. Again, this is Percy talking about Troy. You get that, right?
Yes.
Every single time you go like this person, I'm like, yes, a 13-year-old boy.
Right.
Being
Exactly.
sarcastic and a little shit.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's what I keep reminding myself. And
Okay.
I'm like, Percy, goddammit. I'm like, he's 13.
Okay.
He's 13, you guys.
Sometimes you get messed up in the head.
Think of it this way. You get to ride a dragon,
That can turn itself invisible.
and you could be invisible.
Now you're talking my language.
But then if he gets eaten, we can't see it.
This is also
They
true.
would hear it.
Would we?
Yes.
I'd make lots of noise.
Not wrong.
Unless I don't want to.
This is also true. You can just
Yeah,
poof
let's
it.
just-
Also, if you're riding him, it's easier to stick a knife in his back.
That's true.
Let's not do it until after we know what's going on, though.
Okay. Well, I'm still not entirely on board with this thing, but we'll see. Trying to remember that the enemy of the enemy is my friend. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But I'm also trying to remember, well, you know, Cashin told me, don't trust anybody.
Well, you're trusting us.
Yes, I do.
And you trust Cashin.
But I don't know.
It's like, well, actually.
I trust Cashin as far as I can comprehend
I've
him.
had a conversation with him. I would not trust him as far as my pole arm could reach.
I certainly don't trust your boss.
I don't either. But that's here nor there.
And we talked about that before. Sarsha has never given me any reason not to trust her or to believe that she would.
The whole fact that she sent you back in time makes me distrust her even more.
I realize that a big part of the reason why she's so protective of me is probably because she needs me more than I need her. But she doesn't realize I'm smart enough to realize that she needs me more than I need her.
But she hasn't given us any reasons to truly trust her.
You don't fuck with the natural order of time.
Tell that to Beck.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with the natural order of time.
For you, man.
It's not like
It's
that.
spelled with 2 C's, so it's not a bad word.
Right. Fuck it.
Just let the record show that I'm doing this and I'm agreeing to this. I'm not sold on it.
That's totally understandable.
I realize I'm outvoted.
But that's not a no. Eh, Drex?
What?
You in?
I mean, I'm always down for some dragon acumen.
Respect.
Theo's
That
mind,
reminds me.
Theo's mind is going into all kinds of places now.
Don't forget about that dragon board.
There's a difference between a dragonborn and an actual dragon. You know, the difference is probably about 4 to 5 feet.
All of a sudden, I'm getting the picture from Shrek with the monkey and the dragon.
That did remind me though. Philzar did mention that if we were going the other direction, since we're going east in the mountains, if we went west in the mountains, we'd be running into Belzian's territory. Belzian, aka the Frost Tyrant. He's
Yeah.
a big ol' white dragon.
Would I know?
Well, then let's not do that.
There's also a giant dragon that
Loosely.
lives in the sand over
Enough
in the desert
to
over by Sand.
Steer clear of the damn thing.
Enough to know that he's probably not lying. You
Yeah.
yourself have probably never actually seen it, but
But
it,
you've
it
probably
has
heard
been a
horror stories.
long-standing, tale that gets passed around from clan to clan.
And this
that-
kind of just solidifies.
that
the fact
that hearing
he's
somebody
there.
else, especially another dragon, refer to him probably means that these tales aren't bullshit.
No. Usually tales that you tell me is to scare the shit out of them.
Death from the clouds.
We over in Sand Coast, they call it death from the sands, because sometimes it's so big the sand dunes can move and swallow caravans whole. Folk
Didn't he
stories.
say as long as he wasn't here very long or something and didn't mess with stuff, that it wouldn't be a problem? But
As long as we did not trek westward, the eastern side of the mountains, where we plan on going, is uncharted
And
territory.
as long as you can tread into a dragon's territory, as long as you don't take anything from
As
it.
long as you do not stay.
What if Well, Chicky Poo we're going after has formed an alliance with this white dragon.
Then
I
we'll
guess it's a
see.
good thing we got a black dragon.
Then we'll see some dragon on
Or
dragon.
gold or
Dragon.
whatever.
Gold dragon.
Then we'll
Currently
see.
black, but originally gold.
Then we'll
It's
see
weird.
some dragon on dragon action.
Hell yeah.
I-
I mean,
While I
Drex, your kink is
I
showing.
agree that
What?
that might be a possibility. I think that the chances of that are pretty low.
especially being on the eastern
And that's how it becomes a vampire.
Oh no! Oh!
It
vampire,
all comes together.
Troyo, stop!
I'm just see. Here's my thinking. This is Troy having sat here through 2
And then he
sessions.
gets bitten by like a radioactive spider.
I'm just thinking the GM has been way too easy to let us ally with a dragon.
And the way it flies is with all of its legs like this in the air.
So swims.
Yes.
That's dumb.
But in the sky.
I don't like it.
That's terrifying and I hate it.
No.
Wait,
No.
hypothetically, if it did, would it have webbing?
At this point, what wouldn't it have? It has like
Life.
fangs. It probably has like 8 eyeballs.
What it don't have is life.
Yes.
Give me a moment. I think I'm having a heart attack.
So on this thing.
Guys, gonna go give Theo a hug.
Theo, are you okay?
This was a part of the discussion that
Oh, my nightmares are just gonna get terrible. Oh boy.
undead vampire
Rolling in
spider
laughter.
dragons and
Yeah, I don't know.
Now imagine if they can, like, well, I don't know if all of them can turn invisible, but imagine if...
Quiet! Stop! Just stop!
He's gonna just pat you. He's gonna pat you on the shoulder.
Percy just kind of shakes his head like, these stupid kids.
Let's deal with one nightmare at a time.
My life is a living nightmare, but I understand.
Well, let's think of
Check
this.
that one day
Let's
at
think
a
of
time,
this.
right?
What eats spiders?
birds.
I have on occasion.
So, birds. So, in your nightmares, just picture yourself shape changing into a giant bird that eats the dragon spider
Can you
vampire.
imagine how big that bird would have to be to eat that thing?
To eat a dragon spider?
It's his dreams. Shh.
And
Anything's possible in your dreams.
That is fair.
Well, when I get a little bit bigger, I might be able to turn into like a giant eagle or something.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe we just need to. I think we just need to get Theo some halfling pipeweed.
No. No. No.
That'll help him sleep.
No.
Have some mushrooms.
Wait. I'll pull out the psychedelic mushrooms I picked in the marsh.
Mushrooms are good in a stew, but
Probably.
Why didn't you say so
Makes
last
everything
night?
like change colors.
It's my stash.
Fuck.
Makes everything like change colors and makes you hear all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? If we live to tell the tale of this entire thing, let's go on a fucking trip.
Okay.
On our favorite
Oh,
rocket
shit.
ship.
Where are we gonna go? We gonna go back to Arcanium? We gonna go to?
we're gonna go to the marsh.
We're going to go so many places.
But we're not gonna move. It's gonna be the best part.
No. We're not going to feed it to a 13-year-old.
Then we can't give any to Theo either.
I think Theo's already past that point.
I think Theo
They
deserves
just
this.
don't have to know that we gave it to them.
That's non-consensual drugging.
Again,
I may be morally ambiguous, but I kind of draw the line at drugging minors against their will.
but how funny would it be?
Absolutely.
Look, if I'm gonna do anything like that, I want to be with the twins because I know that they'll take care of me.
Yeah, they will. Percy kind of like gets lost in the conversation because like squirrel. And so he goes and starts making a perimeter again, just searching around to make sure we're safe.
So the twins are a pair of girls he met in.
Oh, nice!
They literally speak at the same time.
Oh,
Same
were they
exact
the two? Oh, yes, the two extremely weird ones in Foxdorf.
Yes.
You know them.
Well,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
he stayed in Foxtrot.
You poor thing.
Stayed.
Yeah, those are the twins that he's talking about. They're the ones
Very
who gave
weird.
him the really nice kimono.
They were strange. Anything that speaks in perfect synchronization is...
That wasn't Fox
No.
Drops. That was in Miyagi Fishing Village.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Miyagi.
Oh, Miyoshi?
Yeah,
Miyoshi.
Miyoshi.
Village.
To be honest,
Mr. Miyagi.
to be honest,
Percy yells really loud. If Drex has enough to drink, he sees 4 of them.
No, don't remind me.
to be
They
honest,
were very nice. They taught me how to dress. They taught me how to paint my face, and they taught me some nice dances. They even gave me these really nice heels.
He kind of like takes a closer look at you. I thought this whole time you were a boy. Are you not?
I am.
Okay!
fog cloud of censorship.
Oh man!
That couldn't have come like 5 seconds early.
It's kind of hard to time.
It just...
I reluctantly pulled my pants back
It's...
up.
From a distance, sometimes it's hard to...
Remember when I told you about consent?
He did ask.
That doesn't mean he's consenting to be shown.
I was just proving.
That I understand. I understand. But Kai was not consenting.
It's not
I
like
didn't
Kai
look. As
hasn't
soon as
seen
he-
it before.
As soon as he started to turn, I went like this.
The amount of dicks I've seen in my lifetime is I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Considering you were a gladiator, I'm not sure either.
Alright, well... I sit here and attempt to burn that image forever from my mind.
I mean, to be honest, I'm really whatever I want to be.
And that's
And
great for you,
We
kid. Great.
respect that. We respect that.
Sometimes he's a bull.
Sometimes we're full of it.
That's.
Yep.
I don't think either of you fully understand the context in which you are applying.
Alright, well,
Kai's just gotten really quiet. She's just sitting awkwardly at the front of her tent, like.
I suppose we just wait for Thales to
dragon.
come back. It should only be
Tells. Yeah.
a couple hours, maybe, if that. Oh, hey, you could send him a message, tell him we're ready now.
It is, but it would be easier for him to arrive at dark. He would recognize less panic.
Especially if other people come up the road.
But then that would also mean that we are leaving at night. I mean, I don't really have a preference either way, but...
I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna go back to bed.
I mean, I could ask.
I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I can move at night just fine. I am quite adapted at the night.
I can't see in the dark, but
It'd be easier for us to travel into the mountains at night, lower risk of being spotted.
True.
And then we would have that morning for the potential recon to regroup and assess the situation.
True. That does involve burning another day, though.
I actually see better in the dark than I do in the morning.
When you are underwater and you open your eyes, is it blurry?
Nope.
Interesting.
I want to say he's the weirdest of all of us, but I don't know how we would judge that because we're all pretty freaking weird.
He took his pants off.
It's true.
Gives him the #1 weirdo in my book.
Oh, wait. Didn't he also shower with that one Dragonborn lady?
Yep, sure did. Yeah, he did.
Hey, I took a bath with a whole room full of people, so I mean,
Yeah, I heard about that.
That one.
He has no shame.
I mean, as your mind, when you're a slave in the gladiatorial arena, you don't exactly get privacy.
His privacy.
So, do we want to just wait for evening
Follow
and
that censorship.
go at night?
There. Yes.
Is that what we're gonna plan?
Or do we want to maybe contact a little earlier and go while we still have some daylight?
Scouting out would be easier in the daylight.
Yeah.
Your guys' call.
It would also alert them to our presence.
Well, it would also,
Maybe.
it would also mean if we do decide to engage this day.
Well, I assume
down
the
the
flight
third
path
level.
is still going to take us, around the back, up and down. I don't imagine we're just going to fly right to the front door and be like, here you go. I mean, unless, of course, that is what we plan on doing.
Preferably.
Hello, you want to buy some Avon?
Hello, we're here.
We're trying to reach you about your Dragon's extended warranty.
I can pretend I'm a Boy Scout and try to sell them popcorn.
It is popcorn season.
Yes, in the middle of the mountains.
That
Hey,
nobody
I
knows
never
if
to be
they're
dressed
there.
and try and sell him some cookies.
I'm an enterprising young man.
You know, if they were full of.
He's really trying to get that bicycle.
Well, if we do decide to engage, I would also be down the third buffalo skull slot.
This is true.
But I,
Percy's adjusting all of his, sharpening his daggers, and he's like adjusted, like,
but
okay, this potion here, this potion
I
here,
can send
this
the
hollow
message
potion
and see
there.
if he can, if he feels comfortable arriving earlier.
Do we have any other way of getting a hold of him that doesn't require you
No.
to? I mean, he could be like nearby, right?
I could yell real loud.
For all we know.
I could play out my harmonica.
Hey, Percy. Not to cut into the conversation, but I saw you readjusting all your daggers and stuff. Did you ever figure out what that other magic dagger was?
Yeah, didn't we do that? Didn't Nestoyo tell us that?
No, you took it and had it identified in
Ah, in town. Oh, yeah. So it works really good against people that cast spells.
That explains a lot, actually.
That's why when you got shanked with it, it fucked you up.
That explains so badly.
Noxa's gonna get up and
It keeps them from using their magic, and it if they're doing something that, like, I don't know, I don't understand it. Maybe Drax can explain it better than Nox. But like, if they cast a spell and they gotta like think real hard on that spell, I stab them with it, then it'll break the spell.
Ooh, that's helpful.
Nox is gonna get up, take a few paces away, and cast Sending to.
He's not trying to
Please-
get you to
Please
test the
say
dagger, is he?
Thursday. Just
No,
bring a
do not.
whole new villain into the campaign.
Nope, I would literally walk away. I already have one campaign where we fought there as dude. I don't want another one.
That's our.
You have to know what they are.
I think
They have to be
you
on.
you have to know them.
Yeah, you have to at least know.
Have to have some sense of familiarity with them.
Yeah. Anyway, that was our.
So yes, continue
Although
casting the-
There's Dune is a being of pure chaos, so
Yeah, that was our.
They're very chaotic.
I'm terrible with names, okay?
If that message got
I just
through,
love
that might
Pokemon.
explain a few things.
Can't argue with you. Make a sound argument there.
And so he is gonna send him. He's gonna go talk to other members. They're in agreement.
Mostly.
Come when
Available?
come when you're available.
With decent.
Yeah. Like I was trying to think of like how to phrase that without like ordering a dragon to show up, you know?
ASAP.
Come at your own time.
Yeah.
We could be up here until we die.
Something along those.
ready when you are.
Yeah.
After a
Along
few
those.
moments of your response, I'll be there soon.
By soon, he needs in like 3 minutes, right?
He's going to walk back, sit down. He'll be here soon.
Kai starts picking up her tent.
Soon could be how quickly do you get to live soon?
I
Minutes.
I sent him a message. He's like, "All right, I'll be there," and then he just went. And
Poofed.
he arrived shortly
Looks
after.
like you just teleported there.
So, yeah. I'm packing up my tent because
We're gonna pack up our shit.
Okay.
Probably
Been
didn't
there
never
with every 10
really-
poofies there.
I mean,
You'll
it's
hear him
one
before
way
you see him.
To take care of a popped tent.
So as you guys are cleaning up, about 30 minutes go by before eventually the returning sound of the kind of sets in, rustles the tips of the trees that are near
He's close.
until the landing. His feet hit the ground with the one by one the scales start kind of flipping back so that it reveals the black color in nature.
Like those sequence pillows.
So those are kind of shakes his wings, shakes his head. Kind of stays a little bit because there's more daylight out than there was last time. He kind of stays a little bit closer to the trees, but starts approaching.
Hey, Belzar.
Eventually he gets close enough, kind of looks to you and gives you a nod of the head.
Percy's probably standing up, leaning against a nearby tree with his arms crossed, just kind of.
Looking as intimidating as a corgi.
What you talking about, Willis? Look.
quick question. Can you change into other things besides the dragon?
I used to.
Okay.
I cannot right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can help fix that.
That is the hope. On that, have you decided what your plan of action is?
I think with your assistance in the mountains, with taking us there and fighting with us, we will then collect our items from Foxtrot and head to the marsh almost immediately afterwards to aid you in your request.
I provide my assistance to you with your endeavor. You will
Help with
me
yours.
with mine. We are of an understanding.
And,
Some-
and
How do we
Some
know
than
you're not
others.
going to eat us?
for clarification for the
His
little
head
one.
kind of like leans down and gets kind of like closer to you.
Yeah, Percy's like probably shaking but trying not to show fear.
Oh, poor Chris.
Your
You see,
teen
like
boy
opens
just
his
wanted
like
to stand up.
opens his mouth. He does so like keeping it clenched. So he like when he talks rather
Like
than
it.
opening, it's grinning.
Yeah.
If I wanted to eat you, I would. Kind of like size up, and your body is roughly the
About the
size,
size of a tooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably already would have done it, Percy.
He had the perfect opportunity in the swamp when I was begging him not to eat me.
There was also a bigger threat.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but
Let me rephrase that. How do we know you're not going to eat us after we help you with your quest?
How do I know that you will not try and kill me after I help you with yours?
That's a heck of a conundrum, isn't it?
it's got a
We
point.
just gotta trust each other.
Running on faith here.
Ironic.
Not to say that I would necessarily be afraid. I feel I could, perhaps not easily, but certainly overcome.
We had the perfect opportunity to do you in back when you were in the swamp and you were wounded. And we didn't.
And I have had ample opportunity to eat you, and have not.
I mean, he makes a valid point there, Percy.
And maybe he... You know, it's kind of like the deal with my boss. Maybe he just needs us too much right now. Just know I'm watching you.
raises his head away.
His eye is probably about as big as your torso.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Despite all of that, I'm appreciative of your reads.
So we have reached a deal.
I'm all in.
I'm all for it. I mean, I have multiple reasons for wanting to help you, but
However, it still doesn't... Where are we going to land?
Who of your group is the spokesperson?
I speak the most, but I don't think it's me.
It's typically my signature on things, whether I like it or not, but I digress.
It's either dead 1 or dead 2.
usually it's Dad 1.
It depends on if Dad
2
2's sober or not.
I'm sober right now.
Yeah, but you don't always make the best decisions even when sober.
Probably dead 1.
Hi, I'm
Not wrong,
I'm the spokesperson of the sigiled 6.
Now 5.
I'm now
Alrighty.
5.
Nox wasn't.
The sigil.
Hold out.
See.
Just gonna hand out the one that doesn't have the matron's mark on it.
Okay. He takes one of his talons and kind of leans it forward, and like you go to like grip onto it, and he like flicks you and kind of leaves a cut in your hand. It's
Oh,
not,
actually, does he...
You probably don't feel it.
it doesn't hurt too bad.
Percy starts to draw his crossbow.
He doesn't really
Then,
feel it, given the burn on his
And then he
hand.
he takes the talon to his claw, or his other, his claw, and he does the same thing. And he holds it over yours, and like one of the drops kind of drips onto your open hand, and your blood begins rising out of your palm into this sphere. And it is clear at first, but then slowly starts swirling red. A red liquid that you are familiar with your blood, but its a other half is like almost orange, red, black, like it's an odd combination. And as it kind of swirls together, it continues doing so until this sphere is full, and then it disappears.
What was that?
We are now bloodbound. Should either of us fail to uphold our ends of the commitment, then you will be faced with the afterlife.
I mean, I've already got one foot there already.
See, now, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? If I knew you were going to do something like that, that would have set some of my fears at ease.
Does it now?
A little bit.
Just gonna take a look at his hand and just shit.
I offer if you can use my wrap to stop some of the bleeding on your
have-
palm.
I have walked this plane many eons. Our way of trust is to the book. Words are hollow.
Nox
Actions
feels
speak.
like kind of intimidated and also kind of like about like he's in a weird mood about what just happened. He's not sure
It's-
whether or not he
should be
feels good
known
about this.
that this binding only requires you
With him just
To-
married or something?
fulfill your end of the work.
Kind of.
It
They're wedded together in a way.
does
That's
not
Jenna
require
choking
you
in the
to
comment.
succeed.
You just have to try.
Just do what you say.
I was not prepared for that comment. We're good.
So we just have to try. As long as we attempt. An honest attempt. Then the bindings lift.
Well, it's more pressure for me to make the honest attempt.
Yes, but we're obviously gonna help.
So what is your plan?
Oh, shit.
Well,
And I could have pointed us to you. He did the most scouting in that area, so he could probably tell you more about it than the rest of us can.
I was going to ask you a question. How long can you maintain the invisibility? Is there a limited time? Does it take energy to do so?
It's
Because that hinges on a few game plans that we've concocted.
so long as I remain in flight or am walking, it is almost indifferent. But doing something more would reveal me instantly.
So it's like when he drinks a potion and poops. When he goes to do
Or
something.
if somebody casts a spell.
Would that also, if we were writing, would that also make us invisible?
No.
Can you grab me?
But we would hopefully be far enough in the sky that
We just look like a bird.
a regular eye would not spot you.
As of right now, the most prominent game plan, well, there's technically 3, but as of right now, I will tell you one of the 2. One of them is we take the time to potentially find a back door, and you stand at the front door, and essentially just wreak havoc and draw the attention towards you as
Or
we go
vice-
in
or
from
vice
behind.
versa.
Or vice versa.
And we do the attack draw and you kind
We
of wait
attack
for
from the front and you take out who's trying to flee out of the back. But that's the counterintuitive part of we could potentially get caught in the process of trying to find a back way. Either way, there's nothing subtle we can do with well, a dragon. However, the other idea is we land far enough away to be able to do more recon and assess the situation before we go barreling in.
We don't know if they have an escape route or not.
And I'm hesitant to show all of our cards at the very beginning. But this is, you are now a part of this plan, and so you now have definite say of what your capabilities are.
I could take flight around wherever the entrance is, see if there are other tunnels. However, if they are underground, it will be hard to spot them.
But if we could just gain more information on if they have other exits to flee or to create a pincher maneuver.
Or at least draw them out to us. We don't know if you would be able to get inside in some places.
And an eagle doesn't attack a snake in a snake's territory. If we can find a way to draw them to an area where we have the upper hand, it would be beneficial.
You are quite impressive.
Big? Kind of like pops out his chest. It's like,
The other thing we could do is we could find a safe place to leave all of them to where there's just a little bit of ways, like you could get me to the entrance within 5 minutes. If you went invisible and I drank a potion, you could drop me off at the door and I could try to sneak in and do some reconnaissance and then come out and we could fly back.
I will proceed with whatever course of action you deem best.
We just have to get into the mountains first.
I have 1 hour.
I'm very nervous about you going in by yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
mechanically out of game,
yeah.
I'm concerned about it too because they may have some way to see invisibility or detect magic or some sort. Percy would not consider that. to be a problem. I mean, he's experienced, but he's not that experienced.
I would say as of right now, with the information we have, a frontal assault is the best idea until we gather other information to state otherwise.
I did like the challenge idea that you put forward.
Solely if she agrees, but if she's a prideful bitch, she's
The question
not gonna
is-
say no.
If we challenge, are we challenging the whole everybody in the cave? What if she's got an army in there? I mean, we're good, but we're not that good.
That's the caveat. Typically, a direct challenge is one person via one person, unless it is agreed otherwise.
And you believe any one of yourselves could duel a vampire?
Absolutely not. I threw it out as an option.
Percy
Because-
kind of raises an eyebrow like the Rock. Like, I have some more information now!
That is...
And I have other tricks in my toolbox.
It was an option to try and draw her out, but that's only if she complies to... It's an old Arcanian belief. Nobody uses it anymore, really. I only read about it in a few books, a few journals.
Just
that's
had a
about
good
it.
chance to get a good look at her. Do a little reconnaissance.
I've not inquired, because before it has not been my place, but what business have you with this vampire, this cave?
She works through the matron and we're trying to weaken the matron.
She's one of the matron's top lieutenants.
This is why you wish to see your marks removed.
I very much would not like to face the matron with these on us. She might be able to use that against us.
And this vampire you're going after does not possess the same capabilities.
I really don't want to turn into a blood-sucking birdman.
He's already had moments where blood smelled good, so.
He's eating
We're
chickens.
running on short time.
Yes, the scent of undeath is lingering.
That is why he was very eager to agree to help you.
I age quickly.
Yes.
That is why Astoyo has his own personal reasons for helping us get to the cave.
Mostly he's greedy, but
Is it greedy or is he just trying to provide things for his daughter?
well,
Maybe a bit of both.
yeah, I don't see why not both.
Also, his eyes kind of fixate on you for a minute, Theo. You appear confused.
Well,
You don't say.
In more ways than one.
there's a lot of levels to that.
I think he's in a permanent
My
state of
parents were
confusion.
human, but I apparently am not.
You do not know what you are.
I've been called a few things recently. I mean, I've been called a shifter recently. I've never met. Well, I maybe have met somebody like me recently, but
Yeah, and I think we killed some other people similar to you.
I didn't grow up with people like me. Like I said, my parents were human. My father found me on the beach. At least that's what he says.
Do not know if this will provide more harm or comfort, but it is knowledge that you may use to do as you wish. You are not native to this plane. Your home is not here. Perhaps it is more than just coincidence that all of us have crossed paths.
Do you know anything about what's happening with the coasts and the attacks?
Yes.
Percy said brings up a lot of that.
As we are now bound by blood, and it is part of my quest of which you are assisting me with. Perhaps I can divulge. My place in the marsh, these ruins that I protect. Rumors have long since spread of there being a treasure hidden in the marsh. Treasure is a matter of perspective. There's a portal to the plane of water that exists in the marsh. Since I have been removed from my post, things have been coming out.
Things like me?
Yes. Things like you, things not like you,
Things that don't belong here.
things that are not needed here.
There's a lot of things that don't belong.
There.
Harry goes from standing to just on her butt.
This world was in its early stages of creation, my ancestors, the primordial dragons, when they were slain by the deities, their souls were ripped from their bodies. The empty husks were turned into the dragon's metallic. The souls were turned into various planes of existence. The dragon, the water dragon, was slain near Drogon. His essence remains as a portal to the water plane. This is not the only such plane to exist in this world. My fellow brethren guard the other ones.
It definitely makes me more confused. I've always felt like I was being drawn to the sea and to Leviathan.
Or is it you're just
I
being
believe
drawn to your
you are
holy
more
plane?
so in a tug of war between the two. Leviathan was the one who slayed the primordial dragon. You hear both calls.
Wow. Well.
Process that one. We're getting ready to go into a big battle.
I'm from the plane of water?
That explains a lot.
Yes, it does!
You know, if Knox wasn't trained to school his emotions right now, I think he's taking this the calm way out of everyone.
And suddenly things make a little bit more sense.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Kai's freaking out here because she grew up not far from these ruins, not knowing what existed out there. Hearing stories of adventurers come back from the marsh of a great beast.
Are there more than one portal?
To other planes. To the plane of water, no.
So the other ones are evidently still being guarded because things aren't getting through. It's only these water creatures that are getting through.
Only because I was forced out of my place.
So who forced you out of your place?
That's the monster, isn't it?
Is that something you wish to discuss now?
If I'm from the plane of water, how did I get from Drogon to the coast?
Can we focus on one thing at a time,
Yeah,
please?
can we please just focus one thing at a time?
I am happy to share. After all, it is where you will be going next.
Well, maybe after we get done with this,
But yes, if you wish to save that for later.
Because this is
This is
I
a
have
lot.
so many
I-
questions.
I do just have one question though, Thalzar. Is my grandpa on this plane or is he on the water plane?
I don't know.
Okay.
You are not the first group of people I have asked to help me. Of the more recent ones, your grandfather was one of them.
You asked him in his old group, didn't you? Oh, okay.
That's a very important question. That is common sense, but yet we have yet to ask. Up until this point, until we started bombarding you with all sorts of questions and garnering you for information, how are you doing? Because the last time you spoke was very brief, and the time before that you were holy.
My wounds have closed. Physically, my body is healed. I am forever stuck in a husk of a shell of the dragon I once was, until returned. Physically, I'm ready to fight.
Because that's polite before we start going for information. I have a few other questions myself, but we need to focus on one thing at a time. We need to keep our attention straightforward and not
30 different
scattered.
places.
A calm mind is a victorious mind. If there is anything eating at you, clear it before we leave.
Nox takes out his sleeping bag.
I'm gonna go visit the trees for a minute.
Speak with truth.
I'm gonna go have a nice shower. spend a little bit of time in some water.
Just don't freeze!
Gotta get back and see Professor Oak one of these days.
I still can't believe we got away with that.
Yeah, I'll spend a little bit of time just kind of calming myself and kind of contemplating what's been said.
So while he's doing that, do you guys have any other questions that you want to address at the moment?
If we ask for your aid in the future, will there be another negotiation?
Perhaps.
Depends on what it is that we're asking, right?
Depends on what it is you ask. If it is a territory I can venture into, and how well our next operation goes.
Seems like he'll be pretty much disposed if he's got to guard a portal.
I was thinking more information. There seems to be a very deep pool of wisdom.
I've been around far longer
I have a few questions myself, but
as a guardian dragon.
You could say his knowledge ripples through time.
Can I make a check of some kind to see what she might have read about dragons while she was at the monastery and the library?
Sure.
I have a few questions, but they're nothing that can't wait until
Would you like
later.
Just straight intelligence? I was thinking intelligence or history based on knowledge, but...
Not great.
I rolled a 4. I have a +2.
What's your history bonus? Make that.
I would make it a 9. I have a +5.
I mean, very, very brief. Nothing deeper than what has already been. kind
Just
of
all
shared.
surface stuff,
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, there'll be more questions that will happen after these endeavors. Not all of my questions can be.
But your friend does raise a point. Should we be successful I will have to resume my duties as guardian to make sure.
My concern wasn't taking the places. My concern was information. That was my point of asking.
Where my knowledge can't help, perhaps it might. I'm not all-knowing, but I do know quite a lot.
Even
Anything outside of Soren is beyond my territory. I know very little of the outside worlds, but I know most things of this one.
that is fun. A lot of my questions pertain to things like that, but they aren't as pressing. I've had these questions for a long time, and a few more weeks isn't going to change anything.
Not in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I have bigger fish to fry.
Hey now.
We have
That
fish?
could be his grandfather!
We have fish? How come we've been eating hardtack all this time?
We've got a mammoth.
Rocks. Grandfather!
Except now instead of a rock elemental, it's a water one.
No, it's a water weird.
Yes.
Oh, this makes sense.
I will eventually come out from behind the trees and
Are you clothed?
yes,
If so, just
probably
ask.
wetter than normal, but
You can always ask. Be like, I'm naked, everyone okay? And then everyone will have a chance to look away.
Have you decided on a course of action?
Well, I would say a frontal assault seems to be the best idea, but that's mine.
having Percy go in and check things before we actually attack might not
At
be a
least
bad
we
idea.
know what the first few chambers might look like.
So we get up there.
Here's the only thing I was thinking of, though. We can't take too much time because we won't want to start a fire. Because lighting a fire would
I say-
alert them to our
I
presence.
say we get there, we take the hour of your invisibility if
We'll
necessary.
give you a little bit of time to.
You take the hour to fly around. We gauge the situation before we do a complete assault. So we could potentially know if we'd be opening our backs for other movement.
Okay.
I do not want to leave our flank exposed if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Very well. Shall we take flight?
I'm ready.
I haven't flown in a long time. I kind of miss it.
He kind of like rests
We
down
know he's going.
on his front legs, and his wings kind of unfold, and they kind of stretch down at an angle, kind of leveling them against the ground as like a bridge.
Does Anastasia shift back into human form, or is she gonna stay as a wolf?
She's been in human form since morning.
Okay.
Percy pulls his flaps down on his bomber hat and ties it in.
I kind of pulls her scarf
Puts on his
higher.
gloves.
Nox is gonna switch out his now fucking torn pair of gloves for warm weather gloves. And just start getting warm weather gear on because he cold boy.
As you guys kind of all start climbing on, you find a kind of comfortable place to sit in between the spines and scales that run along the backside that, even though there's not a ton of spines, they are pretty decently, they are a good place to sit and kind of hold on to something, and there's enough space in between each one that you can fit 2, 3 if it's some of these smaller bodies.
I would say Nox and Drex should sit with some of the smaller ones.
I'd probably lay out one of the furs from the mammoth to sit on, so I'm not sitting on
I hope he doesn't do any
scales and
loopy
spikes.
Nox will probably sit with
That could be
Percy,
fun.
just so, since Percy is the smallest.
Might not be fun falling, but yeah.
he can catch us.
Since Percy is the smallest, it's
Maybe in his mouth.
something else to.
So as you guys kind of all
Don't be giving Percy any bad ideas.
start sitting and making yourself comfortable, eventually he kind of stands back up onto his legs and kind of starts heading out into the open a little bit, where his wings start gathering speed. And starts rising into the air at higher and higher bursts, 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, until you are well into the sky. Almost
Bless you.
immediately,
Thank
30
you.
seconds into the kind of takeoff here, the temperature drops abruptly the higher and higher altitude you climb. Thanking your stars that most of you have already dressed in your cold weather gear in preparation for this.
Theo's hair is just.
Yeah. Anastasia and Estoyo are kind of sitting on a spine. She's kind of resting in between his legs, and as you guys are flying, her hand is just kind of like
the kids at the car window.
yeah.
I mean, she
kind of-
can't see,
just
and
kind
so
of
her
drifting.
her hands and her ears is how she sees the world.
They kind of offer to Estoy a little bit first.
So you guys start flying. You hold it out, and his face is like.
Okay, I just put it back in my bag.
Percy's probably like doing this for a while, and then all of a sudden there's like a wind curtain.
Don't worry, Nox is sitting behind you, so he's holding you. He's holding you.
He's got you by the belt.
Whatever you guys do, don't smile. You'll
So-
get bugs in your teeth.
Couple points of interest here. As you guys kind of take to the skies and begin your flight,
Outside of
as
Percy doing the
you
Titanic moment.
look down, even though you guys have experience with traveling, it's like a half day away. You can see Foxtrot from the sky. It's still a ways out there, and the buildings look very tiny, but you can definitely tell that's Foxtrot.
There's the gate we came out.
On the opposite side, so the fork in the road where you guys had originally gone down north, you see off in the distance that path eventually leads to. It's hard to tell from where you're at, but there's definitely a structure there that is surrounded by a wall of some kind. And then beyond that one structure, everything else is just like a snow tundra. It's just snow and trees and different landscapes, but there are no villages anywhere in sight from where you're at besides Foxtrot. And even then, as you kind of start flying eastward and the mountain peaks start climbing in height, Foxtrot eventually fades out of view. I imagine that at some point it's communicated that you're not flying on the face of the mountain, you're taking the back side of it, so it's a little bit colder, but have a much higher chance of not being detected or seen. It is a little weird, kind of looking down, and because he's invisible, it doesn't feel like it looks like you're just floating.
We're doing the Wonder Woman jet.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a little less weird for Nox, given his previous. It's still weird, but
And you're a little accustomed to
it's a
flight.
little
This
bit.
is significantly higher than any distance you've ever gone, but the feeling is similar. It's a little bit different because there's not that weight on your back.
yeah.
It's more like you guys are just free falling, but you're.
I can imagine Nox
Yeah.
is probably the happiest she's been in a long time.
The flight, as you're moving, kind of looking around, it's cold, but at the same time there's this sense of beauty to it, kind of looking down at the ground as the sun begins to set, seeing the sunlight kind of hit the snow on the ground, or that's kind of frosted the tops of trees, and it gives that sparkle. There are frozen lakes that you pass over that are kind of doing the same thing in spots where it's not completely ice. The water kind of glistens with the light, and it's just kind of a new perspective from the world being this high up in the sky. If none of you have ever been, you kind of get this sense of this is why people, take air travel. Sometimes they take the airships. This is what the view is like. This is what it feels like. about 30 minutes or so pass as you kind of begin ascending higher and higher. You see Estoyo kind of like he has his head ducked down and his hand kind of cupping his mouth, and you see his lips moving, but like the wind is making it really hard to hear. But you know from past experience that Felzar has the ability to communicate telepathically. So you can only assume that it's Estoyo giving him directions of where to go.
I would say, once he realizes where we're going and we're climbing higher, Nox is probably just gonna kind of chill, close his eyes, lean back, just enjoy the freedom of flight.
Kai's taking notes
And
as best
eventually,
as she can behind his bike.
there's a clearing up on the side of the mountain where it opens up, and there's a light density of trees where there's enough tree cover that once landed it kind of hides Felzar, but there's enough space that he can make a landing, and he does kind of slowly come to a stop, and you feel the wings kind of descend as he comes back into vision once again as his scales begin to flip back. He kind of turns his head over his shoulder. The entrance we seek is not far from here. Your friend can point the way if you wish to be stealthy on the front. I plan to take back to the sky and see if there are other spottable entrances.
We'll reconvene within an hour or so. If that would be
Well,
better.
probably be a little longer than that because I'll have to traipse up the mountain.
My flight will not take me long. I will return far before he does.
Once we've gathered more information, we'll make our final decision.
Frontal assault or whatever we decide.
We can divide and conquer.
That works for me.
I can go up a little ways with you, Percy, but I won't be able to go in.
Right, well I figure Estoyo would have to go to show me the entrance because he knows where the entrance is.
Maybe the three of you go, that way you would have two people as backup.
Okay.
One person can act as diversion while the other one can come back and try and summon us.
It's fine by me.
Alright. Well, that is a good course of action. So before we dive into that, we'll go ahead and we'll pick up there next week.